Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the Hoagland Center for the Arts here in Springfield. My name is Jim Leach. I am the News and Program Director for 970 WMAY Radio here in Springfield. It is my great honor to once again be your Master of Ceremonies for the Poetry Out Loud 2014 Illinois State Contest. Thank you. A few brief but important orders of business before we get started. First things first, anything electronic in your pocket, whether it's a phone, an iPad, an iPod, if you still have beepers, anyone who's here visiting from 1989, please silence them or turn them off completely. Don't use the voice, don't use the text or even the photographic figure. The time you spend looking through the little viewfinder is time you're not spending enjoying our participants here today. They'll distract everyone else in the room and distract you and our competitors as well. If you do need to avail yourself of the restrooms, you can find them outside the door here and then to the left and continue down the hallway. Again, please, no photographs or video or audio recording of any kind during the competition. We will take a short break between rounds 1 and 2 and a longer break between rounds 2 and 3. Created by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation, Poetry Out Loud is administered in partnership with the state arts agencies of all 50 states, plus the District of Columbia, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Poetry Out Loud began in 2005 with successful pilot programs in Washington, D.C. and Chicago. The second phase was launched in high schools across America in the spring of 2006, with tens of thousands of students participating. This year, more than 365,000 students, 2,200 schools, and 8,800 teachers participated in Poetry Out Loud nationwide. This year's program culminates in the 2014 National Finals to be held in Washington, D.C. in late April. According to the national headquarters, between this morning and this coming Monday evening, more than 22 state finals will take place across the country, and hundreds of students, separated by space and time, will be united as they take the stage to recite a poem. Now, joining you in the audience today are some special guests. Laura Scanlon, the National Endowment for the Arts, serves as the Director of State and Regional Partnerships. In that capacity, she provides direction concerning NEA funding and other assistance to 56 state and jurisdictional arts agencies and to 6 regional arts agencies. Please welcome to the stage Ms. Laura Scanlon.
Thank you very much, Jim, and welcome to everyone who's here today. I am thrilled to be here. This is the first chance I've had to attend the Illinois State Finals. I've been to many other states, and today all eyes are on Springfield, Illinois, and this group of wonderful students right here. So we're all watching and rooting for each one of you. So congratulations for making it this far. And I want to especially thank our partners. Jim mentioned, we rely on the state arts agencies across the country to help us implement a program the size of which Jim just acknowledged, 365 students around the country. So I especially want to honor and recognize our partner, the Illinois State Arts Council Agency. And with us today are Tatiana Gant. Tatiana, will you just stand up? Tatiana is the Executive Director. And I also want to acknowledge her colleague Susan Dixon, who is the coordinator of the Poetry Out Loud program at the state level. And she does many other things for the Illinois Arts Council Agency, and I think we'll hear a little bit about those in just a few minutes. I also want to extend a special thanks to our local partner who is taking care of all the wonderful details for today's program, Sheila Walk, who is with the Springfield Area Arts Council. And where is Sheila? She's maybe backstage getting, all right. Well, I'm sure we'll honor her shortly. But we are really proud of the 62 schools and 128 teachers and more than 6,800 students across Illinois that have participated in Poetry Out Loud. And as I was looking at the statistics for Illinois, I'm very proud that this program has grown and grown and grown each year. So that, I think, is a new high for the state of Illinois. Just for those of you who may not know, this competition is formulated in a pyramid kind of way. The competition begins at the classroom level, and that's where all of our contestants today started their journey here. Then it progresses to school-wide competitions and then to regional competitions. And then here today, we have 16 finalists to compete for the Illinois State Championship. And today's champion will join all of the other state champions in Washington, D.C. for the national finals, and I will be there cheering the Illinois winner on. At the national finals, there's $50,000 in cash awards and school stipends provided, $20,000 for the first place winner, $10,000 for the second place winner, and $5,000 for the third place winner. I want to especially acknowledge the teachers who may be in the room, the teachers and administrators who really make this program happen. It takes a lot of work to incorporate a program like this into an already full, very full curriculum, so we're very grateful that you've taken the time and interest in doing so. Another thank you to the family members who are here. Many of you have probably heard these poems so often that you could probably get up here and recite them too. So thank you very much for supporting your students in their efforts in getting them this far. Our judges, you have probably the most difficult task next to the students who will be performing today. So thank you very much for your commitment to this program. We appreciate your giving your time to it. And last but not least, the students who are the heart and soul of this program. You really do inspire us as you take on these poems and make them your own and give us a sense of their meaning as you're doing it. So I wish each of you the best of luck today, and we can't wait to hear you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gallen. Again, welcome to Springfield, and we hope you enjoy your time here, especially at Springfield's Center for the Arts. It is a wonderful facility here in our community. We very much appreciate their hospitality year after year in welcoming this event. Now, as Ms. Gallen noted, we do have representing the Illinois Arts Council Agency today, Tatiana Gant, who helped to launch Poetry Out Loud in Illinois and now serves as the Executive Director of the Illinois Arts Council Agency. Ms. Gant, please again stand so you can be recognized. And I'd also like to welcome to the stage Susan Dixon, the Director of the Ethnic and Folk Arts, Literature, and Arts and Education Programs for the Illinois Arts Council Agency. She is the coordinator of Poetry Out Loud statewide. Susan Dixon.
Thank you. On behalf of the Illinois Arts Council Agency and our chairman, Shirley R. Madigan, our council members, and our executive director, Tatiana Gant, it's my great pleasure to be here once again to witness the Poetry Out Loud State Championship for Illinois. Serving as the statewide coordinator for this program is one of the great pleasures that I experience in my job, and I want to thank the Poetry Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts for their continued funding of this program and their leadership and support over the years. Running Poetry Out Loud would not be as much fun, nor would it run as efficiently if I did not have a network of Poetry Out Loud regional coordinators around the state to help me do this. I could not do this on my own, trust me. And so I really would like to honor them. This has been an extremely difficult year because of the weather that the entire state has had to deal with, and we've had to change out some of our regional contest dates, or schools have had to, drop in, drop out because of weather. So it's been a tough year, and I really appreciate them for their continued good humor and their persistence in making sure that the schools and the students get to where they need to be and are prepared. So I want to thank, and when I call your names, please stand up. Eric Stauffer, who isn't here today, but Melissa Crockett from the Jacoby Arts Center in Alton. Sharon Nesbitt Davis from the Rockford Area Arts Council. Amanda Baker from 40 North, 88 West in Champaign. Liz McCabe from Literature for All of Us in Evanston, who takes care of Chicago. Nancy Stemper from the Carbondale Community Arts. Tracy Allen White from the Quad City Arts. And then Sheila Walk from the Springfield Area Arts Council, and of course, Penny Wallen-Creel. And as Laura has already done, but I need to also thank the teachers and the librarians and all of the school coordinators for this program, and also the parents who, as Laura noted, have listened endlessly to some of these poems in supporting your student, and for coming here today, to taking time away from your schedule. Our judges, who I call on to do this, and it's because of your love of poetry and your love of wanting to share that with young students that I really do appreciate you volunteering your time to be prepared to do this. Beauties, my little beauties. I would like for you to stand up, all of you, and to turn around. Now, before you sit down, I would like you to give your supporters and your family a hand. So thank you. And my last little word of advice is that while you're waiting in the wings to come on stage, just remember, take that deep breath that you talked about earlier and let it out. And remember that you are one of 16 students out of nearly 7,000 who are here today. So good luck, have fun, do good, and on with the show. Thank you.
Poetry Out Loud uses a pyramid structure that begins at the classroom level. Winners advance to a school-wide competition, then to the regional contest, then to the state competition, and ultimately to the national finals. Each winner at the state level receives $200 and an expense-paid trip to Washington, D.C. to compete for the national championship. The state winner's school receives a $500 stipend for the purchase of poetry books. The runner-up in each state receives $100, with $200 going to his or her school library. A total of $50,000 in scholarships and school stipends will be awarded to the top 12 finishers at the national finals. 8 regional contests were held in Illinois last month. They were in Alton, Carbondale, Champaign, Chicago City, Chicago suburbs, Rock Island, Rockford, and here in Springfield. The Springfield Area Arts Council is delighted to host the regional and state contests for the 9th consecutive year. I would now like to introduce our state contest staff. At the scorekeepers table, Taya Chesley and Melissa Crockett-Meskey. Up front is our judging staff. Our prompter is Mark McKnight. The accuracy judge is Neil Christensen, a classical pianist and accomplished public speaker. And our recitation judges are Duriel E. Harris, Associate Professor of Creative Writing at Illinois State University. Go Redbirds. Oba William King, a professional storyteller. Vernon Miller, the publisher of Fifth Wednesday Journal. And Jenny Mueller, Associate Professor of English at McKendree University. Several others to be recognized, and please hold your applause until the end of the list. Our photographer is Matthew Larison. Our assistants are Bianca Batista, Crystal Liscano, Eric O'Connor, and Osni Vigasa. Our technician is Brad Wheeler, musician Mark Vincent on the piano, and Dave Kane is our videographer. I'd also like to recognize the executive director of the Springfield Area Arts Council, Penny Wallen-Creel, its program assistant, Sheila Walk, and its board president, Craig McFarland. Now, I'm sure that our participants are chomping at the bit to get started. We have a little bit more business to take care of, and so if you'll bear with me for just one moment, I'd like to please ask Penny Wallencreel to the stage. Now, I had to play this cool. Penny said, "Are you going to introduce me?" And I didn't want to give too much away, but Penny deserves some special recognition today. She is retiring this fall, and while that is a blow to the arts community here in Springfield, we certainly can't begrudge her the time to relax that she has so well earned. She's been with Poetry Out Loud from its beginning as a national program, recruiting participants, finding judges, attending meetings, tracking budgets, and organizing contests. Please give her a much-deserved round of applause. And now back to the business at hand. Poetry Out Loud competitors are judged on the following criteria: physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, level of complexity, and evidence of understanding. Each of these categories is scored individually using a 6-point scale. The judges also evaluate each entrant's overall performance, assigning 1 to 9 points. In addition, the accuracy of the recitation is evaluated. Its maximum score of 8 points is added to the judges' scores. Simply forgetting a word subtracts a point from the contestant's score. While we as audience members can form our own assessment of the quality of the recitation, we cannot gauge whether a student has presented the poem precisely as it was written by the poet, word for word. That's the job of the accuracy judge, who is following the text of the poem carefully. 2 poems will be recited by each participant, 1 poem per round. The order of recitation was determined through a random drawing for each round. You'll note in the program there is a 3rd recitation round. Only the 5 students who scored highest in rounds 1 and 2 will compete in round 3. I will introduce each student. The student will then announce the poem and its poet. After reciting, the student will return to his or her seat. The judges will score the recitation, and the score sheets will be given to the scoring staff. We'll then move on to the next contestant. We ask that you remain quiet between recitations so the judges can concentrate on their scoring decisions. Mark Vincent will play during these pauses, and we thank you in advance for your cooperation. Now, before we begin, and we are just about ready to do so, allow me to formally introduce all of the participants, each of them a winner at his or her school. Students, as I call your name, please come forward to receive a certificate recognizing your participation from Susan Dixon of the Illinois Arts Council Agency. And then please remain on stage for a group photograph. Now, Ms. Gant, would you come forward to present the certificates, please? And our students, in alphabetical order: Grace Anderson, University of Chicago Lab School in Chicago. Marley DeVos, Orion High School in Orion. Kristen Doty, Agape Christian High School. Annabelle Emu, Southeast High School in Springfield. Shelby Hoffman, also of Orion High School in Orion. Cedric Jones, Jr. from Champaign Central High School. Annie Kafalis, St. Teresa High School, Decatur. Monica LaBelle, Wheaton Warrenville South High School in Wheaton. John Lynn Miller, Champaign Central High School. Wilder Moore, Jefferson High School, Rockford. Daisy Ochoa, William Howard Taft High School, Chicago. Allie Payne, Clay City High School. Taylor Robinson, Edwardsville High School. Asia Ward, Auburn High School in Rockford. Abby Warhus, Evanston Township High School. And Alexa Warner, Alton High School. Mariah Brooks from Southeast High School will recite first this afternoon so that none of the contestants has to be the first one on stage. Mariah was named as the alternate at the Central Illinois Regional Contest. She also recited a few minutes ago in a practice round for the judges. Now first we'll take a group photograph and also then family and friends. This would be a good time for you to snap your own pictures of this good-looking group. And you may take as many pictures as you'd like now, but please none during the contest itself. Students, now remain on stage so that I may ask your teachers to stand, and all please join me in expressing our appreciation of their work. And to our students standing on stage and our teachers standing in the audience, please applaud those who've come here to be our spectators and our participants in this event, because they are also very much in support of your efforts here today. Now, teachers and students, you may be seated. Thank you all. And now again, let's please welcome Mariah Brooks from Southeast High School to return to the stage to present the first recitation as a warm-up for all of us here today. Mariah?
I'm a Fool to Love You by Cornelius Eady. Some folks will tell you the blues is a woman, some type of supernatural creature. My mother would tell you, if she could, about her life with my father, a strange and sometimes cruel gentleman. She would tell you about the choices a young black woman faces. Is falling in love with some man a deal with the devil in blue terms? The tongue we use when we don't want nuance to get in the way, when we need to talk straight. My mother chooses my father after choosing a man who was, as we sing it, of no account. This man made my father look good. That's how bad it was. He made my father seem like an island in the middle of a stormy sea. He made my father look like a rock. And is the blues the moment you realize you exist in a stacked deck? You look in the mirror at your young face, the face my sister carries, and you know it's the only leverage you've got. Does this create a hurt that whispers, how you gonna do? And is the blues the moment you shrug your shoulders and agree a girl without money is nothing, dust to be pushed around by any old breeze? Compared to this, my father seems, briefly, to be a fire escape. This is the way the blues works its sorry wonders, makes trouble look like a feather bed, makes the wrong man's kisses a healing.
Now that's where, again, for the rest of our competitors, Mark will play, the judges will score, everyone else will wait patiently, briefly, while the scores are put together and then turned over to the scoring desk, and we will move on then to our next contestant. And so we are now ready to begin today's event in round one. Again, the order of participants has been determined by random draw, so please welcome first to the stage, from Auburn High School in Rockford, Asia Ward.
Broken Promises by David Kirby. I've met them in dark alleys, limping and one-armed. I have seen them playing cards under a single light bulb, and I've tried to join in, but they refused me rudely, knowing I would only let them win. And I have seen them in the foyers of theaters, coming back late from the interval long after they have already taken their seats. And in deserted shopping malls late at night, peering at things they could never buy. And I have found them wandering in a wood where I, too, have wandered. And this morning, I caught one, small and stupid and too slow to get away. It was only a promise I had made to myself once and then forgot. But it screamed and kicked at me and ran to join the others who looked at me with reproach in their long, sad faces. When I drew near them, they scurried away, even though they will sleep in my yard tonight. I hate them for their ingratitude. I, who have kept countless promises, as dead now as Shakespeare's children. You bastards! I scream. You have to love me. I gave you life.
Our next competitor from Champaign Central High School, Jonlyn Miller.
And Soul by Evan Boland. My mother died one summer, the wettest in the records of the state. Crops rotted in the west, check tablecloths dissolved in back gardens, empty deck chairs collected rain. As I took my way to her through traffic, through lilacs dripping blackly behind houses and on curbsides, to pay her the last tribute of a daughter, I thought of something I remembered I heard once, that the body is, or is said to be, almost all water, and as I turn southward, that ours is a city of it, one in which every single day the elements begin a journey towards each other that will never, given our weather, fail. The ocean visible and the edges cut by it, cloud color reaching into air, the Liffey storing one and summoning the other, salt greeting the lack of it at the North Wall, and, as if that wasn't enough, all of it ending up almost every evening inside our speech. Coast, canal, ocean, river, stream, and now mother. And I drove on. And although the mind is unreliable in grief, at the next cloudburst it almost seemed they could be shades of each other, the way the body is of every one of them. And now they were on the move again, fog into mist, mist into sea spray, and both into the oily glaze that lay on the railings of the house she was dying in as I went inside.
And judges, by the way, if at any time you need an additional second or two, just give me the high sign and I'll make sure we wait before we move on. If you are in fact ready, please welcome from the University of Chicago Lab School, Grace Anderson.
Sheltered Garden by H.D. I have had enough. I gasp for breath. Every way ends, every road, every footpath leads at last to the hill crest, and then you retrace your steps or find the same slope on the other side, precipitate. I have had enough. Border pinks, clove pinks, wax lilies, herbs, sweet cress, oh, for some sharp swish of a branch. There is no scent of resin in this place, no taste of bark, of coarse weeds, aromatic, astringent, only border on border of scented pinks. Have you seen fruit under cover that wanted light? Pears, wadded in cloth, protected from the frost, melons almost ripe, smothered in straw. Why not let the pears cling to the empty branch? All your coaxing will only make a bitter fruit. Let them cling, ripen of themselves, test their own worth, nipped, shriveled by the frost, to fall at last, but fair, with a russet coat. Or the melon, let it bleach yellow in the winter light, even tart to the taste. It is better to taste of frost, the exquisite frost, than of wadding and of dead grass. For this beauty, beauty without strength, chokes out life. I want wind to break, scatter these pink stalks, snap off their spiced heads, fling them about with dead leaves, spread the paths with twigs, limbs broken off, trail great pine branches hurled from some far wood right across the melon patch, break pear and quince, leave half trees torn, twisted, but showing the fight was valiant. Oh, to blot out this garden, to forget, to find a new beauty in some terrible, wind-tortured place.
Now from Jefferson High School in Rockford, please welcome Wilder Moore.
Chorus Sacerdotum by Falk Gribble from Mustafa. O wearisome condition of humanity, born under one law to another bound, vainly begot and yet forbidden vanity, created sick, commanded to be sound. What meaneth nature by these diverse laws? Passion and reason, self-division cause. Is it the mark or majesty of power to make offenses that it may forgive? Nature herself doth her own self deflower, to hate those errors she herself doth give. For how should man think that he may not do if nature did not fail and punish too? Tyrant to others, to herself unjust, only commands things difficult and hard, forbids us all things which it knows is lust, makes easy pains impossible reward. If nature did not take delight in blood, she would have made more easy ways to good. We that are bound by vows and by promotion with pomp of holy sacrifice and rites, to teach belief in good and still devotion, to preach of heaven's wonders and delights. Yet when each of us in his own heart looks, he finds the God there, far unlike his books.
Now from Evanston Township High School, please welcome Abby Warhus.
Dream Song 14 by John Berryman. Life, friends, is boring. We must not say so. After all, the sky flashes, the great sea yearns. We ourselves flash and yearn. And, moreover, my mother told me as a boy, repeatedly, ever to confess you're bored means you have no inner resources. I conclude now I have no inner resources because I am heavy bored. Peoples bore me. Literature bores me, especially great literature. Henry bores me with his plights and gripes, as bad as Achilles, who loves people, and valiant art, which bores me. And the tranquil hills and gin look like a drag. And somehow a dog has taken itself and its tail considerably away into mountains or sea or sky, leaving behind me, Wag.
Now from Decatur St. Teresa High School, please welcome Annie Kefalis.
The End of Science Fiction by Liesl Mueller. This is not fantasy. This is our life. We are the characters who have invaded the moon, who cannot stop their computers. We are the gods who can unmake the world in 7 days. Both hands are stopped at noon. We are beginning to live forever in lightweight aluminum bodies with numbers stamped on our backs. We dial our words like Muzak. We hear each other through water. The genre is dead. Invent something new. Invent a man and a woman naked in a garden. Invent a child that will save the world. A man who carries his father out of a burning city. Invent a spool of thread that leads a hero to safety. Invent an island on which he abandons the woman who saved his life with no loss of sleep over his betrayal. Invent us as we were before our bodies glittered and we stopped bleeding. Invent a shepherd who kills a giant. A girl who grows into a tree. A woman who refuses to turn her back on the past and is changed to salt. A boy who steals his brother's birthright and becomes the head of a nation. Invent real tears. Hard love. slow spoken ancient words, difficult as a child's first steps across a room.
Up next from Champaign Central High School, Cedric Jones Jr.
The Bones of My Father by Etheridge Knight. There are no dry bones here in this valley. The skull of my father grins at the Mississippi moon from the bottom of the Tallahatchie. The bones of my father are buried in the mud of these creeks and brooks that twist and flow their secrets to the sea. But the wind sings to me. Here the sun speaks to me of the dry bones of my father. There are no dry bones in the northern valleys, in the Harlem alleys. Young black men with knees bent nod on the stoops of the tenements and dream of the dry bones of my father. And young white long hairs who flee their homes and bend their minds and sing their songs of brotherhood and no more wars are searching for my father's bones. There are no dry bones here. We hide from the sun. No longer do we take the long, straight strides. Our steps have been shaped by the cages that kept us. We glide sideways like crabs across the sand. We perch on green lilies. We search beneath white rocks. There are no dry bones here. The skull of my father grins at the Mississippi moon from the bottom of the Tallahatchie.
Now from Orion High School, please welcome Shelby Hoffman.
Luke Havergal by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Go to the western gate, Luke Havergal, there where the vines cling crimson on the wall, and in the twilight, wait for what will come. The leaves will whisper there of her, and some, like flying words, will strike you as they fall. But go. And if you listen, she will call. Go to the western gate, Luke Havergal. Luke Havergal. No. There is not a dawn in eastern skies to rift the fiery night that's in your eyes, but there, where western glooms are gathering, the dark will end the dark. If anything, God slays himself with every leaf that flies, and hell is more than half of paradise. No, there is not a dawn in eastern skies. In eastern skies. Out of a grave, I come to tell you this. Out of a grave, I come to quench the kiss that flames upon your forehead with a glow that blinds you to the way that you must go. Yes, there is yet one way to where she is. Bitter, but one that faith may never miss. Out of a grave, I come to tell you this. To tell you this. There is the western gate, Luke Havergal. There are the crimson leaves upon the wall. Go, for the winds are tearing them away, nor think to riddle the dead words they say, nor any more to feel them as they fall. But go. And if you trust her, She will call. There is the western gate, Luke Havergal. Luke Havergal.
Our next student comes from Wheaton Warrenville South High School in Wheaton, Monica LaBelle.
Ovation by Carol Muscadukes. I tried to make myself afraid, the way you must have been afraid, stepping out onto this stage, but with a fear so pure, so perfectly informed that you strode out shouting. Here, where the neon yellow arrows painted on the floor shoot forward underfoot in blackness, beneath the hanging sequence of tinted skies, out toward that mindless, immortalizing light, now dark. Now I think I feel the heat you must have felt rising from the front rows. A gaping fire door, a furnace. Your single body standing here with no shadow swinging on itself. Had you been a fool, you might have thought that they loved you. They never love you, you said. They are hungry for the God in his gold eclipse, the pure you on fire. John and I move quickly, each with a handful of ash scattering, the sound of no sound falling into the cracks in the boards, the footlights, the first row. A small personal snow, a prince of dust, a villain of dust. Each part you played drifting up again, recomposing. I opened my hand. I let you go. Back into the lines you learned. Back into the body and the body's beauty. Back into the standing ovation. Bow after bow after bow.
Judges, if you're ready, our next student is from Clay City High School. Please welcome Allie Payne.
A Locked House by W.D. Snodgrass. As we drove back, crossing the hill, the house still hidden in the trees, I always thought, a fool's fear that it might have caught fire. Someone could have broken in. As if things must have been too good here. Still, we always found it locked tight, safe, and sound. I mentioned that once, as a joke. No doubt we spoke of the absurdity to fear some dour god's jealousy of our good fortune. From the farm next door, our neighbors saw no harm came to the things we cared for here. What did we have to fear? Maybe I should have thought. All such things rot, fall. Barns, houses, furniture. We too are stronger than we were apart. We've grown together. Everything we own can burn. We know it counts. Some such idea. We said as much. We'd watched friends driven to betray, felt that love drained away some self they need. We said love, like a growth, can feed on hate we turn in disguise. We warned ourselves, you might despise me, hate all we both loved best. None of us ever guessed. The house still stands, locked, as it stood, untouched, a good 2 years after you went. Some things passed in the settlement, some things slipped away. Enough's left that I come back sometimes. The theft and vandalism were our own. Maybe we should have known.
Judges, if you're ready. Next from Agape Christian High School, Kristen Doty.
Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles, which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand. Begin and cease, and then again begin with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in this sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges, drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For the world which seems to lie before us like a palace of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here, as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night.
Up next, from Alton High School, please welcome Alixa Warner.
Author's Prayer by Ilya Kaminsky. If I speak for the dead, I must leave this animal of my body I must write the same poem over and over, for a blank page is the white flag of their surrender. If I speak for them, I must walk on the edge of myself. I must live as a blind man who runs through rooms without touching the furniture. Yes, I live. I can cross the streets asking what year is it. I can dance in my sleep and laugh in front of the mirror. Even sleep is a prayer. Lord, I will praise your madness, and in a language not mine, speak of music that wakes us. Music in which we move, for whatever I say is a kind of petition. And the darkest days must I praise.
Our next student comes from William Howard Taft High School in Chicago, Daisy Ochoa.
The Definition of Love by Andrew Marvell. My love is of a birth as rare as 'tis for objects strange and high. It was begotten by despair upon impossibility. Magnanimous despair alone could show me so divine a thing where feeble hope could ne'er have flown, but vainly flapped its tinsel wing. And yet I quickly might arrive where my extended soul is fixed. But fate does iron wedges drive, and always crowds itself betwixt. For fate with jealous eye does see two perfect loves, nor less them close. Their union would her ruin be, and her tyrannic power depose. And therefore her decrease of steel us as the distant poles have placed, though love's whole world on us doth wheel, not by themselves to be embraced. Unless the giddy heaven fall, and earth some new convulsion tear, and us to join, the world should all be crimped into a planisphere. As lines, so love's oblique may well themselves in every angle greet, but ours so truly parallel, though infinite, can never meet. Therefore the love which us doth bind, but fate so enviously debars, is the conjunction of the mind and opposition of the stars.
Up next from Orion High School, please welcome Marley DeVos.
Envy by Mary Lamb. This rose tree is not made to bear the violet blue, nor lily fair, nor the sweet mignonette. And if this tree were discontent, or wished to change its natural bent, it all in vain would fret. And should it fret, you would suppose it ne'er had seen its own red rose, nor after gentle shower had ever smelt its rose's scent, or it could ne'er be discontent with its own pretty flower. Like such a blind and senseless tree as I've imagined this to be, all envious persons are. With care and culture, all may find some pretty flower in their own mind, some talent that is rare.
Our next competitor from Edwardsville High School, Taylor Robinson.
An Abandoned Farmhouse by Ted Kooser. He was a big man, says the size of his shoes on a pile of broken dishes by the house. A tall man, too, says the length of the bed in an upstairs room. And a good, God-fearing man, says the Bible with the broken back on the floor below the window. Dusty with sun, but not a man for farming, say the fields cluttered with boulders and the leaky barn. A woman lived with him, says the bedroom walls papered with lilacs and the kitchen shelves covered with oilcloth. And they had a child, says the sandbox made from a tractor tire. Money was scarce, say the jars of plum preserves and canned tomatoes sealed in the cellar hole. And the winter's cold, say the rags in the window frame. It was lonely here, says the narrow country road. Something went wrong, says the empty house in a weed-choked yard. Stones in the fields say that he was not a farmer. And the steel-sealed jars in the cellar hole say she left in a nervous haste. And the child? Its toys are strewn in the yard like branches after a storm. A rubber cow, a rusty tractor with a broken plow, a doll in overalls. Something went wrong, they say.
We are to our final competitor in the first round from Southeast High School here in Springfield, Annabelle Emus.
Rondo by Lee Hunt. Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time, you thief, who love to get sweets into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm sad, say that health and wealth have missed me, say I'm growing old, but add, Jenny kissed me.
We'd like then to go ahead and get ready with round two. And judges, if you're all set, students, if you are set and ready to go, or at least as ready as you're going to be, we'll go ahead and get things underway. Our first competitor in round two, again from Orion High School, please welcome Marley DeVos.
First Storm and Thereafter by Scott Cairns. What I notice first within this rough scene fixed in memory is the rare quality of its lightning, as if those bolts were clipped from a comic book, pasted on low cloud or fashioned with cardboard, daubed with gilt, then hung overhead on wire and fine hooks. What I hear most clearly within that thunder now is its grief. A moan, a long lament echoing, an ache, and the rain, raucous enough, pounding, but oddly musical, and, well, eager to entertain, solicitous. No storm since has been framed with such matter-of-fact artifice, nor to such comic effect. No, the 1,000+ storms since then have turned increasingly artless, arbitrary, bearing. Every one of them a numbing burst. And today, from the west, a gust and a filling pressure pulsing in the throat, offering little or nothing to make light of.
Next to recite from Champaign Central High School, Cedric Jones, Jr.
The Chimney Sweeper. When my mother died, I was very young, by William Blake. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So, your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There's little Tom Dacker, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so, he was quiet, and that very night, as Tom was asleep and he had such a sight, that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told Tom if he'd be a good boy, he'd have God for his father and never want joy. And so, Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So, if all do their duty, they need not fear harm.
Now from Jefferson High School in Rockford, please welcome Wilder Moore.
La Belle Dame Sans Merci, a ballad by John Keats. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woe begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest is done. I see a lily on thy brow with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairish child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head and bracelets too in fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long, for sidelong would she bend and sing a fairy song. She found me roots of relish sweet and honey wild and manna dew, and sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore, and there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses for. And there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamt on the cold hillside. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame Sans Merci hath thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke and found me here on the cold hillside. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing.
Now please welcome back to the stage from Evanston Township High School, Abby Warhus.
Song of the Shattering Vessels by Peter Cole. Either the world is coming together, or else the world is falling apart. Here, now, along these letters against the walls of every heart. Today, tomorrow, within its weather, the end or beginning's about to start. The world impossibly coming together, or very possibly falling apart. Now the lovers' mouths are open. Maybe the miracle's about to start. The world within us coming together because all around us it's falling apart. Even as they speak, he wonders, even as the fear departs, is that the world coming together? Can they keep it from falling apart? The image gradually is growing sharper. Now the sound is like a dart. It seemed their world was coming together, but in fact, it was falling apart. That's the nightmare, that's the terror, that's the Isaac of this art, which sees that the world might come together if only we're willing to take it apart. The dream, the lure is the prayer's answer which can't be plotted on any chart. As we know, the world that's coming together without our knowing is falling apart.
Now from Edwardsville High School, Taylor Robinson.
Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I could not take my passions from a common spring. From the same source, I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I've loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form when the rest of heaven was blue, a demon in my view.
Now please welcome back from Southeast High School here in Springfield, Annabelle Emus.
The Golden Shovel by Terrence Hayes, after Gwendolyn Brooks. 1. 1981. When I am so small, Dad's sock covers my arm. We cruise at twilight until we find the place the real men lean, bloodshot and translucent with cool. His smile is a gold-plated incantation as we drift by women on bar stools with nothing left in them but approachlessness. This is a school I do not know yet, but the cue sticks mean we are rubbed by light, smooth as wood, the lurk of smoke thinned to song. We won't be out late. Standing in the middle of the street last night, we watched the moonlit lawns and a neighbor strike his son in the face. A shadow knocked straight. Dad promised to leave me everything. The shovel we used to bury the dog, the words he loved to sing, his rusted pistol, his squeaky Bible, his sin. The boy's sneakers were light on the road. We watched him run to us looking wounded and thin. He'd been caught lying or drinking his father's gin. He'd been defending his ma, trying to be a man. We stood in the road and my father talked about jazz, how sometimes a tune is born of outrage. By June, the boy would be locked up state. That night, we got down on our knees in my room. If I should die before I wake, Dad said to me, it will be too soon. 1991, into the tented city we go, weakened by the fire's ethereal afterglow, born lost and cooler than heartache. What we know is what we know, the left hand severed and schooled by cleverness, a plate of weekdays cooking, the hour lurking in the afterglow, a late night chant. Into the city we go. Close your eyes and strike a blow. Light can be straightened by its shadow. What we break is what we hold, a singular blue note, an outcry singed, exiting the throat. We push until we thin, thinking we won't creep back again. While God licks his kin, we sing until our blood is jazz. We swing from June to June. We sweat to keep from weeping. Groomed on a diet of hunger, we end too soon.
Now, once again from Clay City High School, Allie Payne.
The Animals in That Country by Margaret Atwood. In that country, the animals have the faces of people. The ceremonial cats possessing the street, the fox run politely to earth, the huntsmen standing around him fixed in their tapestry of manners, the bull embroidered with blood and given an elegant death trumpets, his name stamped on him, heraldic brand, because when he rolled on the sand, sword in his heart, the teeth in his blue mouth were human. He is really a man. Even the wolves holding resonant conversations in their forest thickened with legend. In this country, the animals have the faces of animals. Their eyes flash once in car headlights and are gone. Their deaths are not elegant. They have the faces of no one.
Now from the University of Chicago Lab School, please welcome back Grace Anderson.
Fishing on the Susquehanna in July by Billy Collins. I have never been fishing on the Susquehanna, or on any river for that matter, to be perfectly honest. Not in July or any month have I had the pleasure, if it is a pleasure, of fishing on the Susquehanna. I am more likely to be found in a quiet room like this one. A painting of a woman on the wall, a bowl of tangerines on the table, trying to manufacture the sensation of fishing on the Susquehanna. There is little doubt that others have been fishing on the Susquehanna, rowing upstream in a wooden boat, sliding the oars under the water, then raising them to drip in the light. But the nearest I have ever come to fishing on the Susquehanna was one afternoon in a museum in Philadelphia when I balanced a little egg of time in front of a painting in which that river curled around a bend under a blue, cloud-ruffled sky, dense trees along the banks, and a fellow with a red bandana sitting in a small, green, flat-bottomed boat, holding the thin whip of a pole. That is something I am unlikely ever to do, I remember saying to myself and the person next to me. Then I blinked and moved on to other American scenes of haystacks, water whitening over rocks, even one of a brown hare who seemed so wired with alertness. I imagined him springing right out of the frame.
Now, once again from Wheaton Warrenville South High School in Wheaton, Monica LaBelle.
Echo by Christina Rossetti. Come to me in the silence of the night. Come in the speaking silence of a dream. Come with soft rounded cheeks and eyes as bright as sunlight on a stream. Come back in tears. Oh, memory, hope, love of finished years. Oh, dream, how sweet, too bitter sweet, whose wakening should have been in paradise, where souls brimful of love abide and meet, where thirsting, longing eyes watch the slow door, that opening, letting in, lets out no more. Yet come to me in dreams that I may live my very life again, though cold in death. Come back to me in dreams that I may give pulse for pulse, breath for breath. Speak low, lean low, as long ago, my love. How long ago?
Up next from Orion High School, please welcome back Shelby Hoffman.
The Children's Hour by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Between the dark and the daylight, when the night is beginning to lower, there comes a pause in the day's occupations. That is known as the children's hour. I hear in the chamber above me the patter of little feet, the sound of a door that is opened, and voices, soft and sweet. From my study, I see in the lamplight, descending the broad hall stair, grave Alice and laughing Allegra, and Edith with golden hair. A whisper, then a silence. Yet I know by their merry eyes they are plotting and planning together to take me by surprise. A sudden rush from the stairway, a sudden raid from the hall. By 3 doors left unguarded, they enter my castle wall. They climb up into my turret or the arms and back of my chair. If I try to escape, they surround me. They seem to be everywhere. They almost devour me with kisses. Their arms about me entwine until I think of the Bishop of Bengen and his mouse tower on the Rhine. Do you think, O blue-eyed banditti, because you have scaled the wall, such an old mustache as I am is not a match for you all? I have you fast in my fortress and will not let you depart, but put you down into the dungeon in the round tower of my heart. And there will I keep you forever? Yes, forever and a day, till the wall shall crumble to ruin and molder in dust away.
Up next from Champaign Central High School, Jonlyn Miller.
First poem for you by Kim Adonisio. I like to touch your tattoos in complete darkness when I can't see them. I'm sure of where they are. Know by heart the neat lines of lightning pulsing just above your nipple. I can find, as if by instinct, the blue swirls of water on your shoulder where a serpent twists, facing a dragon. When I pull you to me, taking you until we're spent and quiet on the sheets, I love to kiss the pictures in your skin. They'll last until you're seared to ashes. Whatever persists or turns to pain between us, they will still be there. Such permanence is terrifying, so I touch them in the dark. But touch them trying.
Five more students to go in round 2, and up next from William Howard Taft High School in Chicago, Daisy Ochoa.
Self-Portrait by Robert Creeley. He wants to be a brutal old man, an aggressive old man, as dull, as brutal as the emptiness around him. He doesn't want compromise, nor to be ever nice to anyone, just mean and final in his brutal, his total rejection of it all. He tried the sweet, the gentle, the oh, let's hold hands together. And it was awful, dull, brutally inconsequential. Now he'll stand on his own dwindling legs. His arms, his skin shrink daily. And he loves but hates equally.
Up next from Alton High School, Elixa Warner.
Eros Tyrannos by Edwin Arlington Robinson. She fears him and will always ask what fated her to choose him. She meets in his engaging mask all reasons to refuse him. But what she meets and what she fears are less than are the downward years, drawn slowly to the foamless weirs of age, were she to lose him. Between a blurred sagacity that once had power to sound him, and love that will not let him be the seeker that she found him. Her pride assuages her almost as if it were alone the cost. He sees that he will not be lost and waits and looks around him. A sense of ocean and old trees envelops and allures him. Tradition touching all he sees beguiles and reassures him. And all her doubts of what he says are dimmed with what she knows of days, till even prejudice delays and fades, and she secures him. The falling leaf inaugurates the reign of her confusion. The pounding wave reverberates the crash of her illusion. And home, where passion lived and died, becomes a place where she can hide while all the town and Arborside vibrate with her seclusion. We tell you, tapping on our brows, the story as it should be, as if the story of a house were told or ever could be. We'll have no kindly veil between her visions and those we have seen, as if we guessed what hers have been or what they are or would be. Meanwhile, we do no harm, for they that with a God have striven, not hearing much of what we say, take what the God has given. Though, like waves breaking it may be, or like a changed familiar tree, or like a stairway to the sea, where down the blind are driven.
Now please welcome back from Decatur St. Teresa High School, Annie Kafalis.
A Blind Fisherman by Stanley Moss. I teach my friend, a fisherman gone blind, to cast true left, right or center, and how far between lily pads and the fallen cedar. Darkness is precious. How long will darkness last? Our bait, worms, have no professors. They live in darkness, can be taught fear of light. Cut into 3s, even 6s. They live separate lives, recoil from light. He tells me, I am seldom blind when I dream. Morning is anthracite. I play blind man's bluff. I cannot find myself, my shoe, the sink, tell time. But that spilled milk and ink. The lost and found I cannot find. I can tell the difference between a mollusk and a whelk, a grieving lyre and a lemon rind. Laughing, he says, I still hope the worm will turn. Pink, land, and warm. Dined out on apples of good fortune. Books have a faintly legible smell. Divorced from the sun, I am a kind of bachelor henpecked by the night. Sometimes I use my darkness well, in the overcast and sunlight of my mind. I can still wink, sing. My eyes are songs. Darkness is precious. How long will darkness last? He could not fish. He could not walk. He fell in his own feces. He wept. He died where he fell. The power of beauty to right all wrongs is hard for me to sell.
The penultimate student to recite in this round comes to us from Auburn High School in Rockford. Please welcome back Asia Ward.
The Star by Anne and Jane Taylor. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when he nothing shines upon, then you shine your little light. Twinkle, twinkle, all the night. Then the traveler in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. In the dark blue sky you keep, and often through my curtains peep, for you never shut your eye till the sun is in the sky. 'Tis your bright and tiny spark that lights the traveler in the dark. And though I know not where you are, twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Our final competitor in round 2 from Agape Christian High School, Kristen Doty.
Planetarium by Adrienne Rich. Thinking of Carolyn Herschel, 1750 to 1848. Astronomer, sister of William, and others. A woman in the shape of a monster. A monster in the shape of a woman. The skies are full of them. A woman in the snow among the clocks and instruments, or measuring the ground with poles, in her 98 years to discover 8 comets. She whom the moon ruled like us, levitating into the night sky, riding the polished lenses. Galaxies of women, there doing penance for impetuousness, ribs chilled in those spaces of the mind. And I, virile, precise, and absolutely certain, from the mad webs of Uranusburg, encountering the nova. Every impulse of light exploding from the core as life flies out of us. Tycho whispering at last, let me not seem to have lived in vain. What we see, and seeing is changing. The light that shrivels a mountain and leaves a man alive. Heartbeat of the pulsar, heart sweating through my body, the radio impulse pouring in from Taurus. I am bombarded, yet I stand. I have been standing all my life in the direct path of a battery of signals, the most accurately transmitted, most untranslatable language in the universe. I am a galactic cloud so deep, so involuted, that a light wave could take 15 years to travel through me, and has taken. I am an instrument in the shape of a woman, trying to translate pulsations into images for the relief of the body and the reconstruction of the mind.
We'll now take just a couple of minutes to complete the tabulation of all of the scores from rounds 1 and round 2. And I will, in just a couple of minutes, then announce the finalists, the 5 students who will recite in round 3 and from whom the Illinois State Champion will be chosen. So please sit tight. We'll have those names here in just a moment. We now have the names of our 5 finalists. If everyone is ready, I will go through them. We have these listed in alphabetical order, and our first of the 5 finalists is Grace Anderson from the University of Chicago Lab School. Kristen Doty, Agape Christian High School. Annabelle Emu, Springfield Southeast High School. Monica LaBelle from Wheaton Warrenville South High School. And Abby Warhus from Evanston Township High School. Congratulations to those 5 and to all of our competitors who all did an exceptional job today. I know it was a very tough decision for our judges. We'll take about 5 minutes to allow those finalists and the judges to prepare for round 3. It is about 3:40 now, so again at around 3:45 or so we'll be getting underway with round 3. Judges, are you ready? And scorekeepers? And are our students ready? And audience, we hope you're ready as well. Again, the order of recitation was determined earlier by random draw. So our first student to compete in round 3, our finalist from Agape Christian High School, please welcome back Kristen Doty.
What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why, by Edna St. Vincent Millay. What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why, I have forgotten, and what arms have lain under my head till morning. But the rain is full of ghosts tonight, that tap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply. And in my heart there stirs a quiet pain for unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. Thus, in the winter stands the lonely tree, nor knows what birds have vanished, one by one, yet knows its boughs more silent than before. I cannot say what loves have come and gone. I only know that summer sang in me a little while, that in me sings no more.
Southeast High School, Annabelle Emus.
The Blackstone Rangers by Gwendolyn Brooks. 1. As seen by disciplines. There they are, 30 at the corner. Black, raw, ready. Sores in the city that do not want to heal. 2. The leaders. Jeff, Jean, Geronimo, and Bop. They cancel, cure, and curry. Hardly the dupes of the downtown thing. The cold bonbon, the rhinestone thing, and hardly in a hurry. Hardly Belafonte, King, Black Jesus, Stokely, Malcolm X, or rap. Bungled trophies. Their country is a nation on no map. Jeff, Jean, Geronimo, and Bop in the passionate noon. In bewitching night are the detailed men, the copious men. They curry, cure, they cancel, canceled images whose concerts are not divine. Vivacious. The different tins are intense last entries, pagan argument, translations of the night. The Blackstone bitter bureaus, bureaucracy is footloose, edit, fuse, unfashionable damnations and dissent. An exalting, monstrous hand on monstrous hand. Construct, strangely, a monstrous pearl or grace. 3. Gang girls, a rangerette. Gang girls are sweet exotics. Mary Ann uses the nutrients of her Orient, but sometimes sighs for cities of blue and jewel beyond her Ranger rim of Cottage Grove. Bowery boys, disciples, whip birds will dissolve no margins, stop no savory sanctities. Mary is a rose in a whiskey glass. Mary's Februarys shudder and are gone. April's fret frankly, lilac hurries on. Summer is a hard, irregular ridge. October looks away. And that's the year. Save for her bugle love. Save for the bleats of not obese devotion. Save for somebody terribly dying under the philanthropy of robins. Save for her ranger bringing an amount of rainbow in a string-drawn bag. Where did you get the diamond? Do not ask, but swallow straight the spirals of his flask and assist him at your zipper. Pet his lips and help him clutch you. Love's another departure. Will there be any arrivals? Confirmations? Will there be gleaning? Mary, the shake dancer's child from the rooming flat, pants carefully, peers at her laboring lover. Mary, Mary Ann, settle for sandwiches, settle for stocking caps, for sudden blood, aborted carnival, the props and niceties of non-loneliness, the rhymes of leaning.
Please welcome back now our third finalist from the University of Chicago Lab School, Grace Anderson.
Often rebuked, yet always back returning, by Emily Bronte. Often rebuked, yet always back returning to those first feelings that were born with me, and leaving busy chase of wealth and learning for idle dreams of things which cannot be. Today, I will seek not the shadowy region, its unsustaining vastness waxes drear, and visions rising legion after legion bring the unreal world too strangely near. I'll walk, but not in old heroic traces, and not in paths of high morality, and not among the half-distinguished faces, the clouded forms of long past history. I'll walk where my own nature would be leading. It vexes me to choose another guide, where the gray flocks in ferny glens are feeding, where the wild wind blows on the mountainside. What have those lonely mountains worth revealing? More glory and more grief than I can tell, the earth that wakes one human heart to feeling can center both the worlds of heaven and hell.
Once again from Evanston Township High School, Abby Warhus.
On the Death of Anne Bronte by Charlotte Bronte. There's little joy in life for me, and little terror in the grave. I've lived the parting hour to see of one I would have died to save. Calmly, to watch the failing breath, wishing each sigh might be the last, longing to see the shade of death o'er those beloved features cast. The cloud, the stillness that must part the darling of my life from me, and then to thank God from all my heart, to thank Him well and fervently. Although I knew that we had lost the hope and glory of our life, and now, benighted, tempest-tossed, must bear alone the weary strife.
Our final recitation of the afternoon comes from the last of our 5 finalists from Wheaton Warrenville South High School in Wheaton, Monica LaBelle.
Over and Under by John Brown. So sexy to slide underneath a river, to sit inside this snake-like, submarine-like subway car and freely imagine the world above. The Brooklyn Bridge, invisibly trembling with the weight of its own beauty. The East River, still guided by the grooves Walt Whitman's eyes wore in it. The bulldog tugboats pushing the passively impressive broad-bottom barges around, and the double-decker orange and black Staten Island ferries with their aura of overworked pack mule mournfulness. And beyond them, the Atlantic Ocean, which I lately learned was brought here by ice comets 3 billion years ago, which explains a few things like why everybody feels so alienated. And of course, the thoughts being thought by every person in New York City at this moment. Vast schools of undulating fish curving and rising in the cloud-swirling wind-wave sky, surrounded by the vaster emptiness of non-thought, which holds them, and which they try not to think about. And you, lying in bed in your 6th floor walk-up sublet on St. Mark's Place, such a breathtaking ascension, imagining me rising now to meet you.
The final scores have been submitted and are being tabulated. We will take just a moment while that's happening to introduce to you the members of our judging staff. We begin with Taya Chesley of Springfield. Taya holds a Master of Science degree from the Graduate School of Library and Information Services at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She was the librarian for the Illinois Department of Public Health and coordinator of library services for the Illinois Department of Corrections, with libraries in 36 adult prisons and youth facilities statewide. Ms. Chesley also holds a Master of Arts from the Program for Writers at the University of Illinois at Chicago. She has self-published 3 chapbooks and was awarded the Gwendolyn Brooks Poetry Award in the 2008 Illinois Emerging Writers Competition. Neil Christensen of Calamus. Mr. Christensen is a classical pianist who also operates his own business, Precision Piano Service, and he is an active member of the Quad Cities chapter of the Piano Technicians Guild. Mr. Christensen always has had a deep love of the English language and for all forms of literature. He is an experienced public speaker and served for many years as the director of a training school for public speakers. If you have any pointers, see me after the event. Thank you. Duriel E. Harris of Normal. Duriel E. Harris is the author of 2 print collections, Drag and Amnesiac Poems, and a poetry video collaboration with Scott Rankin, Speleology. A poet, performer, sound artist, and scholar, Harris holds a BA in Literature from Yale University, an MA in English and American Literature from New York University, and a PhD in English from the University of Illinois at Chicago. She is co-founder of the Black Took Collective and poetry editor for Obsidian, and her work has appeared in numerous journals and anthologies. Dr. Harris is an associate professor of English at my alma mater, Illinois State University, where she teaches creative writing, literature, and poetics. Oba William King of Chicago. Oba William King debuted with the National Association of Black Storytellers at the San Diego Conference in 2006. He masterfully combines professional theatrical training with a distinct poetic style. Mr. King is an Illinois Arts Council Fellowship Award recipient, a Jewel Osco Hidden Jewel of the Neighborhood, a Gwendolyn Brooks Hands-On Stanza Award recipient, and an Illinois Humanities Council Rhodes Scholar. He is a featured artist through Chicago Public Radio and television stations, the Field Museum, and the Sun Foundation. Mark McKnight of Springfield. Mark McKnight is a professional percussionist hailing from Jacksonville, Florida. He has performed with gospel artist Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Shirley Caesar, and Marvin Sapp, as well as jazz artists Deborah Brown, Benny Golson, and Ellis and Wynton Marsalis. Mr. McKnight's experience with poetry began with his study of classic poems in high school and continued through his participation in poetry slams and serving as a judge in the African Cultural Olympics in Florida and Illinois. Currently, Mr. McKnight is a doctoral student at the University of Illinois. He is on the Liturgical Arts Festival of Springfield Board. Vernon Miller of Lisle. Mr. Miller is the founding publisher and editor of Fifth Wednesday Journal, an independent literary magazine based in Lisle, Illinois. He holds advanced degrees in language and literature from Stanford University and business from the University of Chicago. Mr. Mueller retired from the University of Illinois at Chicago after almost 25 years as teacher and administrator. He's authored many stories and articles, and his work has appeared recently in Snowy Egret and A Prairie Journal. And Jenny Mueller of Lebanon. Jenny Mueller teaches creative writing and literature at McKendree University in Lebanon, Illinois. Her book of poems, Bonneville, was published by Elixir Press. A past recipient of the Illinois Arts Council's Literary Award for Poetry, she has received an MFA in creative writing from the University of Iowa's Writers' Workshop and a PhD from the University of Utah. A big hand for all of our judges today. And I think we may have our announcement ready to go. I would like to please call to the stage once again Ms. Tatiana Gant from the Illinois Arts Council Agency to present the winners. Again, our judges have named an alternate who will compete at the national level if the champion cannot. This runner-up receives $100, with $200 going to his or her school library. Our second place finisher is Annabelle Emus from Southeast High School. And now, our top finisher moving on to the national competition. We wish him or her luck as he or she represents Illinois. And our winner receives $200 with $500 going to that winner's school. The Poetry Out Loud 2014 Illinois State Champion is Monica LaBelle from Wheaton Warrenville South High School. Congratulations to our winner, to our runner-up, to all of our competitors, an extraordinary group of young people. You are all to be commended. You should all be very, very proud. We'd like to invite you all to visit the Prairie Art Alliance Gallery on this floor and to attend our reception in the lobby immediately afterwards. On behalf of the Springfield Area Arts Council and all of the folks involved in putting this on today, we'd like to thank you all very much for being here, and we'll see you next year.